In my illusion, I thought I was going to raise you to be whole, complete, and worthy, to be educated, kind, and wise, to be a leader, empowered, and free. I was deluded to think I knew it all, fooled by my age and might. I thought I had it all together, ready to teach, inspire, and change you. Only now, after so many moments with you, do I realize how foolish these ideas were, how baseless and grandiose. I now understand that it is you who is here to teach me, to guide, lead, shift, and elevate, to transform, awaken, and inspire me. I now realize that I had it all wrong, upside down and in and outside in. It is you who are the perfectly designed clarion to wake me up to my true self.
Justin, thank you so much for jumping on Car Seats and Coffee, my man. I'm excited. We just barely met each other through the gram, but
Yeah.
I feel like even talking before this episode, we already have things I'm just genuinely excited to talk about. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let's just jump in, Justin. Just give a background story, high level, to people, like maybe some of the things you do and, some of the things that just gets Justin going in life.
Yeah, no problem. First and foremost, for people listening, you might hear every now and then my son's screaming in the background, running around. He's a very outgoing, outspoken child. So, but that's perfect for this podcast, right?
Absolutely, that's what it's all about, dude.
But just a background. I grew up, real quick story. I grew up a kind of a nerd into computers. And then I was didn't like the way that I was being treated in school. So I was like, okay, I need to get into sports. And I decided to go full in on basketball, practice like crazy. I did not come from an athletic family. So I was practicing day in, day out so that I could fit in school, right? So I became a basketball fanatic, just played all the time, like hundreds of games a year. My dad took me to all of them. So when it comes to dadhood, actually, the number one thing I told my dad probably 3 years ago that I loved most about him, that I could take on with me as a dad, is that he missed, literally, Tom, I'm not exaggerating, I probably played like 400 basketball games throughout like 8th grade to senior year. He missed one basketball game. And it's funny that I can remember the exact game. I can remember I hit the game-winning shot. I can remember, and I'm like, I wish my dad was here to see this. So it's so funny. But that was the only game he ever missed. And so that was one thing I'm going to take on with me. So he worked a lot. He worked very hard. So nights, days. But anyway, to continue on, I graduated 4-year degree, computer science. Realized I didn't like being behind a computer all day, and I needed to get out there. So I got into sales. Then realized that I don't like working for somebody, because I felt like I just needed to release myself and allow myself to be on my own path, I guess. So I started a cornhole league. Now, I'm not you know what cornhole is?
Oh yeah, the game with the bags and you chuck it from back and forth. Yeah.
Do you play it? You play it at all?
Dude, I have a set in my garage.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What's the decals on the set? Is it, you have anything on it?
No, so my wife actually did make graphics herself on it, for the state of Utah, and just so it's different areas that are part of Utah that have that kind of plays into it. So
yeah, that means a lot. It's funny what people put on their boards. I always like to know, because it kind of tells me a little bit about them. That's sweet. So yours is about where you're from. So I'm somebody who definitely, I'm not going to win a professional tournament. I've played a lot of tournaments, but because I own the league, I played a lot. I'm somebody you're definitely going to want to have if you're just playing a pickup game on your team, because I'll smoke it. But anyway, so I love it. I love playing that. So I started that. It was more of a hobby than a business. And then I got into, long story short, I got into internet marketing, realizing you can make money online, and just went off with that. And of course I had my ups and downs and stuff, but that's not what this is about. So now I'm here.
This is what it's about. This is about you and your journey and how it all ties in, right? Because this is all, I'm assuming this is all pre-kids, or was this were some of these ventures while you already had your first child?
Yeah. So pre-kid, like I've always been the type of person, and I think I had somebody on my podcast that does Enneagrams, whether you guys know what that is or not, but it like is like a personality test. And my personality is an Enneagram 7. And what that is like, I'm just go, go, go. I don't think about the consequences, a lot of things. I just do it. If I'm like passionate about it, I'm just going to do it. I'll both feed in. Right. Which is a blessing and a curse, because then I make way more mistakes than the normal person. But I learned from them. Right. So I jumped out of the cornhole to start a State Farm insurance office. And then I realized after like a year and a half of that, I got approved. I was ready to open my office. And then I realized right away, I'm like, I do not want to be that guy. Like, I don't want to be that insurance guy. Because I started seeing it around me and I'm like, nothing against insurance people. I just didn't want, that wasn't for me.
Sure.
And then that's, of course, when I went in internet marketing, I went about $40,000 in credit card debt before I actually figured it out. I was sitting there watching Sopranos in my basement. The little windows I had in my basement were closed. It was dark. It was the middle of a summer day. My wife is at work. I had my head in my hands, like ready to cry. But I never cried until 2 years ago. My whole life. We talk about that. But so I didn't cry actually, but I was just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? My wife doesn't know. I have $40,000 in credit card debt. I owed my dad 10 grand that he let me borrow. I thought my world was just caving in. And I didn't have a kid yet. So, if that was on top of it, oh my gosh, I don't know what I would have been. I don't know. I might have like jumped out the window. So, but that, again, that's a blessing and a curse, right? Because I was just going in, I was giving everything. I'm putting money on my credit card, trying to do this, figure this out. And I had literally, Tom, $600 left, literally on my credit card, to buy a flight to an internet marketing event. I've been sitting behind my computer trying to figure this game out, and it was not working like I wanted it to. But I knew that there was, like, I saw the people doing it. I knew there was something to it. And I could feel it. So I reached out to a few people on Skype and I said, hey, you're going to this event. Can I stay with you? I don't have any money. Like, I'm just going to be straightforward with you. I have no money. Can I stay with you? I'm buying a ticket. And one person said, sure. So, and I knew that I had to get to like an event to like figure this out. Right. Cause I needed to be, and that's why, when it comes to like your business and stuff like that, like you really need to get out there and network with people and meet people in your same category. Otherwise you're going to feel really lonely and probably not be as successful as you could be. So I bought the ticket. I show up, right? I show up and the guy looks at me. John Reyes was his name. He looks at me and he goes, like he saw a ghost. He goes, you actually showed up? Like, I don't have room in my hotel room for you. I didn't think you were really going to show. No. I'm like, dude, you told me I'm coming, right? I went from Rochester, New York, all the way out to Denver with the last $600 on my credit card to go to this event. So zero exaggeration in this story. So he's like, all right, I guess you're staying with me. We pull a cot in this room. We can barely fit. He has somebody else staying with him. He's in a small room. Long story short of this, he ends up being friends with all the top people at this internet event. And he's just dragging me around like his little puppy, right? Like, who's this kid that's with you? And this was 10 years ago. And he's just like, yeah, he knew everybody, all the top people. So I'm learning from all the top people as we're going through this event for 4 days. And I came back with a great idea, reached out to somebody. We partnered up. We created it. 120 days later, I paid off my credit card debt and my dad.
Gosh.
But like, if that didn't happen, I don't know. So anyway, that's my story of how I got to be an internet marketer. Now today, I started a journey about 1.5 years ago to become a meditation teacher. And I uploaded my first recording. I put a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of wisdom and teaching and knowledge behind it. And I woke up this morning to it being approved. It has like 80 plays, probably more now, and a whole bunch of 5-star reviews. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, Insight Timer is amazing. I've been using it, but not as a teacher. And I'm able now to I'm looking forward to reaching like way more people with my message and what worked for me and what I can hopefully help others with meditation.
Okay. I am so fascinated in this. And the thing I love about your story is there's so many ties into taking risk, going for your things that you want, and like how important that is to like raising kids as well. So there's so many ties. Like I want people to understand that they're listening. It's about to even get it's about to get really great here. So because your story, dude, like transitioning, let's talk about that. You went from
Yep.
internet marketing, you've now had like some wins with the internet marketing. So you're like, okay, cool. I can do this my own thing. Like I can survive out there without like the corporate world like backing me. I'm
Yeah.
good. What was
100%.
the jump into meditation? Like why, like I love
Cool.
meditating, but like
Okay.
why? Oh yeah, absolutely. Like what was
Sweet.
that jump though? Like what caused that?
Oh man. Uh, so are you, do you meditate like on a daily basis for the
I
most part?
so I was doing it for 75 days. I committed to like, so there's Andy Frisella. I don't know if you've heard about him. He's this guy that like he does the 75 hard online. It's like
Yeah.
you choose like you're supposed to follow his plan. I'm not one that
Mhm.
likes to follow people's plans. Like I'm like, cool, thank you for the inspiration, but I'm gonna make it my own. Like I want 75 things. Like if I'm committing 75 days to something, I want it to be things that resonate with my life or things I want to grow personally with, not just like what you've dictated so that
I
other people
love that.
follow.
You kind of adjust it to your own. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, because it's your commitment, right? It's your life. It's not his life. It's like yours. It's like thanks for the inspiration, but let's try to make it me now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
Totally.
it did like Ziva, like there's a Ziva meditation, Emily Fletcher. Like
Yeah. I love following. I follow Emily. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
so she has her book. I read her book and it was like
Cool.
all like, stress less, like what is it? Stress less, achieve more, or something like that is like her
Mm.
book. So it was all about like 2 times a day, like 3 different styles leading up. It's like mindfulness, like meditation and manifestation, right?
Yeah.
So 15
Yeah.
minutes twice a day. So I'm like, I'm gonna go for it. Most days I'm like, did that even do anything? But I realized like it's the overarching effects like I was getting out of just that, right? It was like,
Yep.
oh, I am a little more patient with my children. I am a little more present with like my
Mm.
podcast. And you
Mm.
start seeing these things. And
Mm.
we talked about David G, which I want to
Yep.
get into more. Like my buddy actually turned me on to his like rebirth stuff. And I'm like, this guy, one, sounds like an epic voice actor. He's super chill and cool. Like,
Yeah.
you just want to follow him. So,
Yeah.
um, but
Yeah.
yeah, so that's
Cool.
kind of my thing. But this is about you, Justin. Stop
Yeah,
talking
sorry.
about me, man.
I love listening. But when I hear somebody meditate, I'm like, yes, tell me more about it. Like I'm ready to flip the script, right?
Yeah, hey, I'll jump on your podcast later, brother. Let's get you going.
Sorry. All right. Yeah.
What got you
Yeah.
into
So yeah. Truthfully, like this is kind of perfect. Is I 5 years ago I had a daughter, Aria, and it was it's I mean anybody that says that doesn't change their life when they have a kid is insane, right? So it made me kind of start to go on a journey of like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Like, why am I making all this money on the internet? Why am I it's just trying to figure out reasons for life, right? All of a sudden I started having these weird questions that I never had before because now I have a daughter. And then it's like, okay, and I'm going on, and then I'm still, to be vulnerable, I'm still on the road. My internet marketing business, I traveled a lot, once every other month or once a month, and we partied every time. Like, and I still have my daughter at home, my wife, and we're partying, like carefree, doing things that like I look back at it and I'm like, it was fun. Don't get me wrong, but I would never do half of that stuff today. So it started spiraling, and then I started just becoming like waking up more anxious, depressed, feeling like empty feelings. Why am I here? What am I doing? I need to be a role model for my child now instead of just like myself. I had a lot of selfishness happening. I was married. And so those questions just kept coming. And then one day my buddy called me, a business partner that I did business with, and he goes, "Hey man, I just signed up for a Tony Robbins event, and it's called Date with Destiny. It's 7 days and nights, very intense." I'm like, "Cool, sweet. Like, tell me about it when you get back. Let me know how it is." And then I hung up. Probably within 3 minutes, I called him back, and I was like, dude, can you sign me up too while you're there? He was at like a booth at an event. He's like, sure. He was excited to have somebody like that also wanted to. He's like, sure, yeah. So he goes, he signs me up. I send him the money, and we're going, and we go to and so then my son's born. This, fast forward, okay, timeline here. My son just gets born, and now I have two kids, and start questioning myself more, and like, what am I doing in this world? And again, I was waking up feeling empty, even more empty. It was weird. It was just a weird feeling that I was getting. And I think a lot of it had to do was because I was still being very selfish and doing so much for myself and party and all that stuff. So I went to this event, no idea what to expect. Are you a Tony Robbins fan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Anybody that like has anything weird to think about Tony, or anything like cult-like thinking, or like he's just, take that out of your mind, because this experience I had for 7 days completely shifted me. I mentioned earlier in this podcast that I've never cried between, I don't know, 18 years old and 33 years old. Never. Just didn't, like, it wasn't allowed in my family. Like I was always supposed to be happy and go lucky, right? No matter what. This event broke me open, Tom, so much. I'm on the phone with my spouse the last night at this event, and I'm talking to her, and something came up, and I just lost it, to the point where I've never even knew that somebody could cry like this, like ugly cry, where you have to hold the phone like away, and I'm like, oh. And talking about it now, I can laugh at myself, but like in that moment, I had these feelings coming out that I never allowed to come out of me before, that I always just shoved down. And they just exploded out of me to her. And she was in an absolute shock. Like, who is this guy on the other side of the phone? What the heck is going on at that event? And, it was a 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. every day, 7 days straight, just beating the hell out of you, Tony, and these people. And I learned a ton. It changed me. It made me realize like what I want to be and what do I want to do, instead of just making a whole bunch of money and buying stuff and giving money to my parents and my brother. I wanted to make an impact on the world after that. Like after this event, I'm like, I need to like help people. I need to either like help them show them how to do email marketing, because that's what I do, or I need to like find a new passion and help them. Like I need to just go that route. And I came back. My lovely wife got me a book by Brene Brown called Daring Greatly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love that. Yeah. And I never, by the way, before this event, I never read a book. I think 2 books before that. One was a Tony Robbins book, and one was like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Of course, 2 money books I read before that. And then, so I read this book, just crushed the book quickly. Wow. Okay. There's other things out there. It's okay to feel. It's okay to have this stuff. And she got it for me because she knew that I went to this event, and I opened up and she's like, whoa, which is amazing on her part. And then the next book I read was Morning Miracles right after that by Hal Elrod. Have you heard of that one?
Oh, I've heard of that.
So Morning Miracles, it basically structures a good morning for yourself. And that's where I learned about meditation more. Okay. At the Tony Robbins event, I love books that are action items. All right. So for people listening, like I love books. My book of the year this year is Carseats, The Illusion of Money. Rock on, right? Okay. So good. So many action items and meditations in it, of course. So I love it. And so this one has a lot of action items in it. So I took it away, and that's where I started meditating. Like I was like, I have a note. I have a thing. I January 23rd, 2019. So like a year and a half ago, a little bit more. It was my first day. I think I've missed like 5 days since then. And now I'm it's everyday things. I became a teacher, but, and that's what started me on my meditation journey. And like you explained, I don't even know how I would be a father without meditation in my life, because I would lose it. I know I would. Like, I just know my patience. I'm too much of a go kind of a individual, just innately in me. And like, I wouldn't have the patience to be a stay-at-home dad, which I kind of am, because I have an internet marketing business. So I actually spend more time with my kids than I do work since they've been born. And I do that intentionally. Like I could literally probably make 5 times what I make right? But I choose not to right now because A, I have enough to live and have fun. And B, I want to take these years where my kids aren't in school and spend as much time with them as I can. And I consciously make that choice every day. And I'm okay with it. Like, I'm totally comfortable. Some people listening might think, dude, that guy's crazy. He could just sit back and he can make way more money than he makes. He doesn't. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's meditation or what. Like, I'm so comfortable and okay with that. And my definition of success that I've like perfected for myself, that I try to achieve every day, is being completely, success is being completely 100% comfortable with who you are and where you are in that exact moment. So if you can live from that perspective in that way, then everything else is just a bonus. And it was the way I see it. And things just start flowing too. It's weird. So anyway.
Absolutely. How do we, from your perspective, Justin, like that money play, because you're right, a lot of people, they obsess about it. They believe that that is the key to happiness, but obviously you're starting to see other paths.
Correct.
To make you towards happy. So like, what recommendations do you have for other dads that are too focused on the money right now?
Yeah. So, it's interesting. And don't take this the wrong way for people listening. Please don't. But poor people or lower middle class individuals, you are always, I'll say always, thinking about money way more than wealthy people think about money. Because, so when you don't have as much and you're operating from a place of lack, then you're constantly thinking about it and constantly needing to get to something in the future. So that's why, like, when you're operating from a place of lack, you're always wanting to say, I need more of this, or I need to pay, I don't have enough money to do this. And I get it. Like, I know it's a struggle, but when you're operating from that place, it's really tough to actually like let it flow to you. And I know that from personal experience. I don't know if that makes sense or not. No, if I can back it up to answer your question. When we actually like remove ourselves from not having something and not having enough of something, if we can do that, and the only way I know personally is through meditation and reading. Like, I don't know any other answer. And just be happy with where we are right now, but also know that we can grow and be better and have more and do more at the same time. That's when like things start to happen. Let me give you a quick example. This morning, I have a trainer I go to on Wednesdays and Fridays. Okay. And this morning she's telling me, she goes, I have to tell you this because I know you'd be somebody that'll appreciate it. And I was like, okay, what happened? She saw somebody, she's a bodybuilder, and she saw somebody win a competition that she doesn't like, that she has this like beef with. Right. And so she started getting this story in her head, and she's telling me this, that she's like getting upset about this happening to this person. Oh my gosh, I wish, I should be that person. I can't believe she won, yada, yada. And then she stopped herself. She's like, why am I doing this to myself? And she starts, because that's going to set her off for the day in a bad mood. She stopped herself and decided she's going to have, it was so beautiful when she told me this, a karmic day. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what do you mean by that? She goes, I'm just going to start doing everything I can for other people the rest of the day. I decided. This was a few days ago. She told me this today, but this happened a few days ago. So then she tells me she went through Dunkin' Donuts line and bought a coffee for the person behind her. Right. We all hopefully have done that in our life. And then she tells me she was like anytime somebody needed to take a left turn when she was driving, she just let the person come in. She would stop. She was doing all these extra, going out of her way. Somebody would reach out to her about something, one of her clients, and she would be like, send an extra nice message than she normally would. Where she was just doing all these things, she said that, and all were like complete just karmic things. She went to an afternoon coffee to get an afternoon coffee, and she's in line, and she's telling herself, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to buy the $2 coffee for the person behind me. She gets up there, and the lady goes, oh, you're all set. The person in front of you bought your coffee. Like, it's so simple, right? But like, that would have never happened if she didn't put herself in that place of like doing stuff for other. And the universe was like, okay, you're happy with where you're at. You're doing kind things for others. The universe is like, I'll send you some love. And that happened to her. It sounds so cheesy and so like, oh, okay, it was just a coincidence. But no, I have had 50 people on my podcast talk about this. It's the way the universe works. It's the way life works. And you can relate it to parenthood too. Like if we strive to be like the best version of ourselves in every moment for our children, then it's going to be a better flow, a smoother flow. Yes, of course, like we're human, things happen. But if you try to do that, life is going to be a whole lot different for you. I hope I didn't go too much on a tangent there.
The thing I love about that, Justin, honestly, is the last guest I had on the show, very similar, like has been on spiritual journeys, has done like so much like personal growth, right? It's not development, he's growing constantly, right? And he had mentioned this concept, and it ties into that like impacted my life so much. This is the thing I love about connecting, not only just from a podcast, but with other humans, is like if you genuinely listen and could be in the moment with them. He shared the story about, well, what if the next time your child's crying, instead of being like, stop crying or looking at the behavior, you just said, hey, do you mind if I just hold you? And you give them space. And like the next episode, the one before yours comes out, is actually about that. Create space. My son and I were about to butt heads. Like my son's turning 6. He's very strong-willed. And he like certain things, like just he gets in his mind that this is my way, you know? And I was noticing we were going down that path again where our egos were going to collide. Correct. Where I'm the dad, you need to listen what I'm saying. And he's like, well, I'm a human being and this is what I want. And we're about to like go at this, right? And I stopped and I could see that it was about to go there. And I said, hey, bud, do you mind if I just hold you right now? Dude, he started like, he didn't know what to do. He like looked at me and like teared up and he's like, yes. And I held him and it was just like, whoa, like having that energy. It's that energy. Like, where do I want it to be? It's the karma day, right? It's if I put this positive out to you, I'm going to get something that's like tenfold back. Like, and being able to have that moment now created a space to where I'll constantly not only do that with him, but I'm trying to do that with other human beings in it. And it's like, again, it's if I can create your day, make your day a little better, like you're going to ripple that effect out to the universe, right?
100%. I love that story. It reminds me of what I learned as a father when I ask my kids things. It's like, what'd you do fun today? Right. And then what happens is they look at you like, and they don't answer. And then you start getting upset because your daughter isn't answering the question that you expect them to answer and want the answer from. So that now that they're not listening to you and they're not doing what you expected, right? You start creating this energy and frustration inside of you that starts reflecting. And then boom, like you just said, you butt heads. Or if you find that space and say, well, maybe my daughter doesn't want to answer that question. Maybe she just needs me to give her a hug and say, hey, I hope you had a really good day today.
Yeah.
And if not, I'm here to talk about it. If you want to.
Yes.
If you want to. Right. And I'm creating a 5-day course, meditation course for parents. It's a mommy daddy course. And that's one of my days is talking about that specific thing is creating the space. And then another day is releasing expectations that we have and been forced onto our kids. Yeah. Right. And it happens to all of us, even myself, still, even though I'm aware of it. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm doing it again. I have to stop and pull back like you just, you realized it and created that space. I love it.
Now I know that you're going to be having this course and this course will be, I'm assuming up for sale. And so kind of like a mastermind, right? Like a thing that people can jump on or.
Well, it's a good question. So this course, I'm going to utilize Insight Timer right now.
Cool.
So Insight Timer is an amazing app for meditation. It's really powerful. There's millions of people on it. And I'm going to upload it to Insight Timer and it'll be a course on there.
Cool. Can you just like a little insight for some of the like dads, even the moms that are listening? Can you just releasing some of those expectations, maybe just
Yeah.
one little tool that they can take away with that.
So let me start with this, and this is going to be an intro to the course that I thought was so powerful. So I'm reading this this book called The Awakened. I've read every parenting book. The Awakened Family by I never know how to say it. Shefali Saberi, or I got to pronounce her name correctly. But she has this poem in there in like the middle of the book that is like perfect. And it's really quick. Can I read it?
Please do.
Okay. So it's called Our Children, Our Awakeners. I have it right here. Hold on. It's in my illusion, I thought I was going to raise you to be whole, complete, and worthy, to be educated, kind, and wise, to be a leader, empowered, and free. I was deluded to think I knew it all, fooled by my age and might. I thought I had it all together, ready to teach, inspire, and change you. Only now, after so many moments with you, do I realize how foolish these ideas were, how baseless and grandiose. I now understand that it is you who is here to teach me, to guide, lead, shift, and elevate, to transform, awaken, and inspire me. I now realize that I had it all wrong, upside down and in and outside in. It is you who are the perfectly designed clarion to wake me up to my true self. So that message right there, and if you press stop, rewind it, listen to it again, because it's very powerful. There's a lot of powerful statements in there. I always say there's nobody that's going to test our ego more than our children, right? So if we can look at certain expectations we have of them, if we can look at certain moments with them as a challenge for ourselves to grow in that moment, instead of trying to impose our will and impose our expectations on our kids and our authority on our kids, and instead look at it ourselves and say, this is a good opportunity for me to grow and learn something here, then you'll shift how that moment is occurring, like instantly. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So I do that a lot in certain, and yeah. So there you go.
Do you do that? We kind of hit on, or you hit on this earlier. You talked about the fact that because I'm a go guy, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
always like wanting to achieve, always moving forward, always trying new things.
Yes.
And then bringing children into that equation is very challenging, because children, all they want is just your attention. But if your attention's focused on all these other things, then those children become like a barrier to you achieving these things, rather than a tool for you to like actually like realize maybe the direction you truly want to go, because you've slowed down, you've become part of their world, right? So
You just said, I want to repeat that. You just said, Tom, slow down and become part of their world. That's so powerful right there. Like, I love that statement. And you don't have to do that all day. Just pick, like 15 minutes at a time or an hour at a time, and then let your children know. Like for me, I'm like, okay, Aria, like, let's play this, right? Let's do this. I give my full attention, full presence in that 20 minutes or whatever. And then I let her know. I just say, and she's old enough to understand, she's 5. So I say, okay, daddy now has to go back to work and do some stuff. So I'll be back a little bit later, and then I'll go to work. So I'll like explain to her, or if I'm like on my phone around her, I'll say, hey, Aria, I'm having a conversation with somebody, so I might not be able to give you my full attention right now. Like, I'll just tell her straight out, you know what I mean? Because we're all human. We all have things we have to do too. We can't just hang out with our kids and focus on our kids 24/7.
Because like giving them also space to be free from you is
Yeah.
also giving them like a gift as well, because they have to be comfortable being with just themselves also, right? I mean,
100%. Yeah.
don't you feel like there's a lot like in meditation is not about trying to get away from the external world, but it's trying to get more within yourself, right? Become more connected internally, right? Because
Yeah.
do you think a lot of people try to escape with meditation rather than realizing it's a tool to get to know yourself better?
That's an interesting question. I've never had that question proposed, but it's interesting to think about. I think when I think of the word escape, I think of alcohol, drugs, escaping into that kind of life, which um, is understandable. Life's, we all go through troubles, and it's easy to go that route. So I totally get it. Meditation, David G taught me this definition, is cultivating our ability to witness. Is really all we're doing. So what we do during meditation is called yoga chitti vritti nirohu, and that is a Sanskrit, which in English means quieting the fluctuations of our mind. So progressively quieting the fluctuations of our mind. So when you meditate, you're going to have thoughts, right? So it comes out and you have a thought, and when you notice it, when you witness, you cultivate your ability to witness. When you witness, you have that thought, you just slowly bring it back to your breath or counting or whatever, your mantra, whatever you were doing at the time. And then another thought comes and you bring it back, right? You witness it and you bring yourself back. And that allows you throughout your day, like you said, you take that same exact approach throughout your day and you start witnessing how you're acting towards your child, how you're acting towards your spouse. You start witnessing all these things that you never noticed before, and it allows you to choose a different path, choose a different perspective.
How much do you think that the way we judge ourselves impacts the way we parent our children?
Yeah, that's another great question. I mean, I think that's probably fully, because two reasons. I think it's like enormous. I think it's everything, honestly, because when the way we judge ourselves creates an energy field. And I truly believe this. Our eyes can only see so much. There's so much more that we can't see. Just even these waves that are happening between our conversation, we can't see that, but there's tons of these energy waves from the technology. So I believe there's this energy around us that we create based on our feelings, our thoughts, our emotions, and how we judge ourselves in that moment or in a time. And your kids can feel that. Like, there's no doubt about it. Your kids can feel that. So that's number one. So if if you have like I said, success is being completely 100% comfortable with who you are and where you're at right now. And if you can have that, then your kids will feel that, right? And then the second part is then the way that you parent just is totally different, because you're not parenting from fear, which is a big thing. When you're not wholly comfortable and confident with yourself, then you start having fear and anxiety. And when you start parenting from that point, like, it can be a downward spiral, a lot of headbutting, a lot of egos fighting, a lot of different things happening. So I mean, I'm not a professional with that, but that's just my opinion and my realization. 100%. Example, like when you're we all get in bad moods, right? So if I'm in a bad mood, it is so easy for my kids to trigger me. So easy, right? Let's be like, if you had something bad happen to you at work or whatever, and you bring that home instead of letting it go, and it's so easy for them to trigger you. Like, it's instant. But if you, let's say all of a sudden, you won $10,000 in the lottery and you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Your kids aren't triggering shit. Like, there's not, like, they're going to need 3 days from then to be able to get you upset. Right. So what is that? What does that show? It shows that, we're completely capable of managing this.
Right? That's so funny. It's funny that you say that too, because I think a lot of people will jump to that. They'll be like, yeah, if I win a bunch of money, then all of a sudden it's that whole like happiness thing. And I don't know, Gary Vaynerchuk, I'm sure you know, because you're internet.
Oh yeah. I love following
like
him.
This whole like, what is it? 400 trillion to one. Like, we've won the lot. Just the fact that we're born, we've like won the lotto. Right. And it's, we forget about these things. And that's why I love like what you're teaching with like meditation and everything. I think that it stops a lot of the noise, external noise. And I think, to me, that's sometimes is an escape. If I can just shut out the noise for a little while, because so many messages and so much like flying at you like constantly each day, that by doing that, I think you reflect a little more and you start seeing that the fact that you're alive that day, that it's the little gratitude play, right? Each day you start seeing these things because you slow down. that now it's like, I have one. Like now I'm allowing the universe or whatever to give me more because I'm not coming from a state of lack, like you'd mentioned before.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
already in a state of abundance. I've won. So now like it's just like you start seeing more and more, and it's just gift after gift after gift, and it compounds, right? And it's like I personally struggled a ton with that becoming a dad. Like it was like I had plans. Now you're in my life. I don't know how to disassociate with that person I was before,
Right.
with the person I need to be now, be adding a new member into my world, like, right? And
Yeah.
it's like trying to cope with all of that and realizing like, okay, you're frustrated because you're still trying to play the life you're playing pre-kids. Like you got to let go of some of that, you know?
100%. Then you said some powerful words in that message, man. Yeah. And you know, there's one thing we can't do to ourselves, and this is like a huge thing. We can't shame or beat ourselves up for bad moments, if you want to call them even bad moments, right? We're human. And I look back at things I did and said, and it's just the best that I knew how to be in that moment. And I can look at it and say, okay, I could probably choose a better option next time if I'm aware of it and if I'm like allowing myself to be that. But at that time, it's the best I could do and at that moment the most I knew about. So it's okay. And yeah, and you know, Kyle Cease, one of the coolest things he says in his book, to go along with what you said, is like, when I get this, I'll be happy. Right? Everybody always says that. Oh, when I get that promotion, I'll be happy. When I have another kid, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Right? How about I'm happy right now, and that's when things will happen.
Yeah.
So I'll be happy when this thing happens. I'll be happy when this thing. How about I'm happy right now, and that's when things happen. Right? So that's what we were just talking about, like having that center right there, and that's a powerful thing.
It's not living the if-then life, right?
Right. But it's easy to say, right? So I want to iterate that. It's easy to say, it's easy to read, it's easy to talk about, but doing it, you guys doing it actually requires a daily thing. And that's why I love meditation, because it gives you something tangible to do to cultivate that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, instead of just like talking about it, it gives you something. Even 5 minutes. The wake up, pee, meditate is a thing in the meditation world, which is WPM. Wake up, go pee, because we all have to pee in the morning.
Absolutely.
And before you turn on the lights, before you grab your phone, before you read the book, before you brush your teeth, sit down and meditate. And that's usually the best way that you'll be able to be consistent with it, because then all of a sudden the day just starts grabbing you and getting a hold of you.
And so what about the dad or the person listening to this right now that's like, well, that's crap. I don't have 5 minutes in the day or 2 minutes in the day. And
right.
What's it going to do for me? Like, what would you say about that?
Good question. So I'll give you an example. So before this, we pressed record, you guys. Today was completely thrown off, a different day than I've had in probably 2 years. And I'll tell you what happened. So I usually, to answer this, and this is going to answer your question, I usually set my alarm at least a half hour before I know my child will probably get up. So for a while, he was getting up at 5:30, 5:45. So I would get up at 5, because I knew I wanted to make sure I got my meditation in. I did some journaling sometimes, maybe a little reading, just having some me time in the morning, right? A little bit. And if I stayed up a little bit later, I'd set it up for like 15 minutes before to try to get like just a meditation in. And then now he's getting up around 6:30. So I set it for 6, sometimes 6:45. So I set it for 6. So this morning, my alarm goes off. I always wake up to it. And for some reason, I was like, shut it off, and like instantly fell back asleep. And I can go look at yesterday and say, oh, I played pickleball for 2 hours, which I've never done in my life. So that maybe that was it. I was like extra tired or something. So, and I have a 7:30 appointment with my trainer. And and all of a sudden my eyes woke up at 7. I look over at my phone and I go, oh fuck. Can I swear on this? Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Oh fuck. I look at my phone, it's 7:13. Right. And I have 7:30 with my trainer. It's about 8 minutes away from my house. So like, oh no, you jump up, and I'm trying to be as calm as possible. I brush my teeth, grab my clothes, run out the door, and I make it there with literally like a minute to spare. I made it. So I get there, and already my day is thrown off, but I'm in my car and I throw on a hip hop song and I'm smiling. I'm like, I love the fact that I'm okay with not doing my routine that I'm used to doing. And it's okay. Like, I'm still like, I'm human. These things happen. I can't beat myself up about this. Right. And I'm telling myself this, and I'm like, so I go off and I go to my training, and I go and get a coffee for me and my wife. I bring it home. I shower. I leave. I shower. Again, like between bringing the coffee, coming home, showering, I still didn't have time to get a meditation in. I don't like to feel rushed if I miss mornings. So I have a haircut appointment at 9:30. So I had my whole day planned out, and it obviously waking up late screwed everything up. So I have a haircut. I go get my haircut. And as soon as I get out, I'm supposed to go to a chiropractor, and I get a phone call or a text from my wife, and it says, "Hey, do you have Weston?" This is like 45 minutes have gone by. And I'm like, "No, I don't have Weston, my son." And she's home with them. And she's like, "Oh crap, where is he?" And he's a 2-year-old, and he like gets into everything, and he's all over the place. So like, if you're not watching him for 5 minutes, he's somewhere else. So I'm like, he's probably just somewhere, right? So I'm like, "You'll find him." She calls me 5 minutes later, and in panic mode, pure panic. "I can't find him. I don't know where he is. Oh my God, what do I do? Get home, please, please, please." And I can't even like explain, like, it was way more panic than that. She's running. And so I get in my car, and I'm 95 miles an hour the whole way home, weaving in and out of cars. And honest to God, Tom, completely calm inside. Like, my mind was, okay, when I get home, either she's going to find him before I get home, or when I get home. But I didn't want to take my time getting home. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go look for my damn son, since he's lost. So I'm rushing home. She calls me twice on the way. "I still can't find him. I don't know where he is." I get home. Our neighbors are outside looking for him. All of our neighbors, like 3 neighbors. And I live in a cul-de-sac, so he can't really get away, and he doesn't go anywhere. So, and my wife's on the phone with the police, actually describing, like, so imagine what's going through her mind. Like, she thinks our child's completely lost, right? This is what's going. She's giving a description of her son, which is something that I hope no parent ever has to go through, like giving a cop a description of your son, right? And so like this moment's blowing up, and I pull in. This is no exaggeration. I pull in the driveway, and I look over in the car next, our other car, and he's sitting there strapped in his car seat in the car. And this is a giant SUV that I don't even know how he opened the door to get into this thing, and he strapped himself in. And I literally go, "Oh, babe, he's right here."
Oh my gosh.
And and I had, there was of course still a little bit of panic going through, but really, honestly, I remained pretty calm, because I really thought that I'd come home, would find him pretty quickly. But it was like what look on my wife's face was like, "Oh my God, thank God." So we never know what the day is gonna throw at us, right? And my day was completely thrown off. And so after that, it ended at like 10:30. We had ours started at 11:30. So I was like, all right, after she calmed down, after we talked about it, we had a little conversation about it, everything's fine. I went downstairs. I did 12 minutes of meditation, came up, and went to work. So I know not everybody has that ability because they don't work from home and stuff. But what I'm saying is, like, we could always find a moment in our day, no matter how crazy. I mean, I don't think many mornings get too much crazier than that. No matter how, and it's before 11 o'clock, I got my meditation in. No matter how crazy and how wild things get, there's always 10 minutes. And I believe it so strongly that we really have to have that balance between like go, craziness, busy, and doing nothing. I had this guy, Rob Dubay, on my podcast. His whole tagline is "do nothing." And it's just like, you have to have time in your day where you do absolutely nothing. Even if it's just sitting there, being quiet, close your eyes and just think about crap, whatever. You just have to do nothing for a little bit in order to have that balance in your life. Otherwise, that moment in this situation today, I could have fought with my wife afterwards. I could have done all, you know what I mean? It could have been just out of control. But because you have that tool of meditation and the tool of finding space, right? Creating space, you know, that. So for anybody out there listening that has ever lost their kid for a few moments, it's okay. It happens. And that's what we have to remember. We're not
Just
alone.
pre your meditation experience and being into this, how do you think you would have reacted to this?
Oh, so I know exactly what would have happened. I would have woke up, panicked, probably actually texted the person at 7:30, said, I'm not going to be able to make it today. But my commitment to things is a whole different now that I have this daily practice. And so that would have been the first thing. And then I would have been pissed off at myself for not getting the workout in, because I would not, if I was going to miss that, I'm not going to probably work out. And then you know, that mood would have transferred out through the day. And then if my kid was lost, I would have probably been like, how could you freaking lose him? You were supposed to watch him, and just start blaming her and then her panic would have been skyrocketed. Right. But I knew that I needed to be the space for her in that moment, because she was in serious, you know, panic and mode. So that's where I was, and I was able to create that. You know, this is not in an egotistical way that I'm saying this, right? I'm just saying it because I'm really passionate about meditation. I was able to create that because of the practice I've cultivated, right? Now, yes, and oh, by the way, this was right after I texted her, like this whole situation went down right after I texted her that, oh my God, my meditation got approved. I just saw, and there's like all these plays on it already, and I have all these reviews. This is amazing. I'm so excited. And then boom, it switched right from that to this situation, which is another lesson is in parenthood, is like the more even keel we can keep our responses to things, the less roller coaster effect we'll feel. Like getting really excited about a certain situation and then, really pissed off about a situation, really excited. If we can learn to like keep more of an even keel throughout, it's a very different play out with the parenthood.
Oh, I love that. I think that's so good, because it's like I'll find myself like being really energized with the kids and stuff, and then you have other moments where you're just like not, and the kids are like, Dad, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm cool. I'm just thinking about these things. So it's like that's a good reminder too for myself. Like, just gotta. It's an even kill. It's not that you can't like dance and have fun with your kids and the music comes on and stuff. It's like, but just like in your daily life, like things shouldn't ramp you that high and ramp you that low. Just normal stuff, you know? So
exactly. Yeah. 100%. That's a great thing. Yes.
So good. All right, man. I want to respect your time, Justin, but like a couple things. One, I want to do this with you, and I'm sure you've heard, like, if you've listened to any of the episodes, I have these cards. It's just like, what's the word? And it's random questions. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's just like, I love to get to know people on a deeper level, you know? So I'm going to spread some of these out. You just tell me when to stop, and
go ahead and stop.
Okay, we're going to take this one right here.
I saw some sleight of hand there. What was that? What was that?
I was like, I'm going to take this one.
Some David Blaine stuff happening over here.
I'm like, and now we're going to hold our breath for 5 minutes while I'm reading this. So the question of this one is, what is one of the kindest things someone has ever done for you?
One of the kindest things someone has ever done for me. Wow. Gosh, I try to find, I try to find kindness all over the place, honestly. And I think one of the kindest things, wow, this is a tough question, man. Tom, you're throwing me like to really think deep, because I'm like, I don't want to answer this wrong because I want to really have something good. You know, I just believe, like, I was blessed with my parents being together and still together, and just a good relationship. And I think just honestly, just them uh, having parents that are together and love each other. It's probably not the answer you're looking for, but that is really the kindest thing that I can think of that somebody has created for me in my life. You know what I mean? Just having that example would be my answer to that.
It's a perfect answer. Like, I know you were searching for something. Like, I felt that answer because unfortunately my parents weren't in a situation like that. And like, that is one of the like non-negotiables I say in my life, like, is I'm with my wife and I'm with my wife, and that's what's going to happen till the end. As far as, I mean, obviously there's things out of my control. Like if she whips up, she's like, "Hey, I don't love you anymore." I can't do anything about that. And I'm not gonna sit and dwell on that. But I can control the way that I bring myself to the relationship, and I want to be there till the end, with her. Yeah. So I love that. That was an awesome answer, dude.
Thanks.
And it's very non-expected, which even makes it better.
Well, I was searching for like a specific example, right? And then I'm like, that's not what I'm feeling. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, that's so good. So speaking of that, one last question would be, if you have to choose something that you want that story, that narrative from your children to say about you as a father one day, what is the example or story or message you want them, if they were on this podcast, saying, the thing I remember the most about my father is?
Oh, what comes to mind are two things, but I'll say the first is that he was so playful and full of joy all the time. Because I think that is something that we really need, especially in this coronavirus and all these, protests and hate from the Democrats and Republicans, everybody hating each other and all that. Like, I just feel like we're missing this piece of joy and playfulness that we really need, and lightfulness that we need to incorporate more in our lives. And I think that that's what she would probably remember most if like I was to pass away tomorrow. Like he was, that right there.
That is
for
so
sure.
awesome. That is so awesome, right? And you can feel it. I can feel it like chatting with you. I'm like, the energy, you can feel the energy, and it's infectious. And I think we need more of that out there. Absolutely.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes, quotes or whatever you want to call it, is like, we can pass all of our things to our kids, but they're going to eventually run through them. Well, what they can't run through are our thoughts and feelings that we can pass on to them. And they'll always hold on to those forever. Right. So everybody's worried about like getting a nest egg for their kids and giving them money and all this stuff. And really, like, what we should be worried about is just, just being there for them and creating that space and being the best version of yourself you can possibly be for your kids, and showing them you can have emotions, and it's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be sad, and it's okay not to be a leader all the time. It's just like all that right there is what you need to pass on.
Absolutely. Dude, and you've shared so much, like that, especially that poem, like that you shared, and like just your personal journeys and stories. It's hard to even ask. It's like, what would be just any final messaging that you have for parents?
I'll end it with how I've decided to end every single one of my meditations that I'm recording is know for parents. Like, this is great for parents or any individual. It's just know that you are loved and perfect just the way that you are. That's the truth.
There it is. We're going to end it on that, Justin. That was perfect, my man. Thank you so much for jumping on Carseats and Coffee. You've added so much value, and I can't wait for the dads to listen to this episode.
Thanks, Tom. I could talk to you for hours, dude. Like, you're a great person to talk to. I love it.
Right on.